I wasn't supposed to find it. That thought burned in my mind as I stared at the crumpled receipt sitting on the passenger seat of our car. It was an ordinary scrap of paper, innocent to anyone else, but to me it was a grenade with the pin half pulled. The receipt was from a hotel. Not the kind you stop at on a long drive, but the sleek, discreet kind with champagne service and a reputation that spoke louder than its name. The date printed at the top. 2 nights ago, the very night my wife Claire had told me she was working late with a client. My throat went dry. At first I tried to tell myself it was a mistake. Maybe she had a meeting there. Maybe she grabbed dinner. But the receipt betrayed more than that. It listed a suite number, 2 glasses of wine, and a breakfast order for 2. The walls of my reality cracked in that instant. The first confrontation. I didn't storm into the house right away. I sat in the driveway for nearly an hour, fingers gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. Every memory of Claire, her laugh, the way she touched my arm in passing, the vows we exchanged, flashed through my mind, and with each image the knife twisted deeper. When I finally stepped inside, she was in the kitchen, humming softly as she stirred pasta sauce. The picture of domestic peace. "You're home early," she said with a smile, turning to kiss me. But I couldn't do it. Not yet. I needed to see how deep the lie went. "Yeah," I muttered, brushing past her. "Just had a light day." Her eyes lingered on me, studying, maybe sensing the storm building inside me. The spiral of suspicion. Over the next few days, I became a detective in my own marriage. I checked her phone whenever she left it unattended, but she was smart, deleting messages, clearing call logs. I started tracking her miles on the car, noting when they didn't match her story. I even installed a small recording device under the seat. Each day the evidence piled higher, crushing me under its weight. A whispered phone call in the garage. A text preview that read, "Last night was perfect," before she swiped it away. Every discovery hollowed me out, but I said nothing. Not yet. Because I wasn't just going to confront her. I was going to make sure when I did, the ground disappeared beneath her feet. The breaking point. The final nail came one Friday night when she claimed she was meeting a client for drinks. I followed her, careful to stay back. My heart hammered as I watched her park outside that same hotel from the receipt. She stepped out of the car in a red dress I'd never seen before, clinging, daring, nothing like the clothes she wore for me. And then a man approached. Expensive suit. She smiled at him in a way she hadn't smiled at me in years. They walked inside together. I sat in my car, trembling with rage. My chest felt like it was going to explode, but instead of bursting through the doors and making a scene, I drove away. Because the truth was, I wanted her to think she was safe. I wanted her to believe her lies were still working. That was the only way my plan would work. Trap. I spent the next week preparing. Quietly, methodically. First, I met with a lawyer. Divorce wasn't just about ending things, it was about leverage. If I filed with evidence of her adultery, I'd come out on top. Second, I froze our joint accounts. Left just enough for her to keep living normally so she wouldn't suspect anything. Third, I began collecting every piece of evidence. Screenshots, recordings, the hotel receipts. By the time I was done, I had a file thick enough to bury her. And finally I waited. The confrontation. The moment came on a Sunday morning. She was still in her robe, sipping coffee, scrolling on her phone like she had no care in the world. "Claire," I said, setting the thick envelope on the table in front of her. She glanced at it, then up at me. "What's this?" "Proof," I said flatly. Her face paled, but she didn't touch it. "I don't know what you mean." "Don't," I snapped, my voice sharper than I intended. "Don't insult me with another lie. I know about the hotel. I know about him. I know everything." For a moment, silence hung heavy between us. Then her shoulders slumped, and tears filled her eyes. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered. I was lonely and he. Lonely. My laugh was bitter, hollow. "You had me. You had a husband who trusted you, who built a life with you. And you threw it away for What? A fling? Her tears flowed harder. It wasn't like that. But I'd heard enough. You don't get to rewrite this, I said coldly. You lied. You cheated. And now you're going to pay the price. Making her life a living hell. I wish I could say I walked away clean then and there. But betrayal like that doesn't just wound, it poisons. And I wanted her to feel every ounce of the pain she'd given me. I moved out that very night, but not before draining what was left of our accounts into a private one. When her card got declined at the grocery store 2 days later, she called me in a panic. What happened to our money? She demanded. Our money? Said coolly. No, Claire. That was my money. You forfeited your right to it the moment you decided a hotel room with him was worth more than your marriage. She sobbed, begged, cursed, but I didn't bend. Then came her job. She worked in marketing and appearances mattered. So, I made sure a copy of the hotel receipt, along with a very telling photo I'd snapped of her and her lover entering the hotel, landed in her boss's inbox. She was suspended within the week. Her family. I didn't even have to say much. Just a few carefully chosen words at a dinner. And suddenly she was fielding questions she couldn't answer without choking on her lies. Piece by piece, I dismantled the world she thought was untouchable. The aftermath. The divorce was brutal for her. With the evidence stacked against her, the court sided with me on everything. The house, the savings, even custody of our dog Max, who had always chosen my side anyway. When it was over, Claire was left in a tiny apartment, working a part-time job she hated, her reputation in tatters. And me. I should have felt victorious. I should have felt justice was served. But instead I felt empty. Because here's the truth no one tells you about revenge. It doesn't heal the wound. Just feeds it, keeps it alive. One night, months after it all ended, I sat alone in the house that used to be ours. Max snored softly at my feet. The silence pressed down on me, heavy and suffocating. I had won. But at what cost? The final reflection. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far. If I could have just walked away. Started over without setting fire to everything in her life. But then I remember that receipt. The 2 glasses of wine. The breakfast for 2. And I know, I couldn't have done it any other way. Because betrayal isn't just about breaking vows. It's about shattering the very foundation of trust. About looking at someone you loved more than anything and realizing they never valued you the same way. Claire made her choice. And I made mine. In the end, maybe we both created our own hells. Hers was made of loss and ruin. Mine was made of silence. And silence, I've learned, is its own kind of torture.